And I bought the cups with.
Okay, get them in there as soon as we can to see optimal greasiness.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello.
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 Kathleen, why I got you? Are you now the contact person for your plan? Or do you have somebody else?
I will have somebody else as of Friday.
Okay, if you could just forward me that name so I could let people know. But
Sure,
it
will do.
could be sometime in the new year. It doesn't have to be right away, but
Okay, I'll get it to you probably Friday. It's a formality that I have to
Yeah.
observe.
understood.
Come on, Sue. Oh, you shine before you go. There's a lot of it. 4. 3 places here and 1 place. This is for the DOT grants. Okay. Yeah, I'll do.
I'll make a note, Keith, to make sure I don't forget to get that to you.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
Good afternoon. I apologize. I'm late. I was in
Connor.
another call. Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Good, good. So, are we expecting a smaller group today or?
So I know Wynn is going to be unable to join us.
Mhm.
Mary Pat DiCarlo will be over in a few minutes. She's coming from another meeting. Peter Mason should be joining us briefly. I see Barry just joined us. Hey, Paige. Barry, how are you?
I'm doing well and hope everyone is too. Starting to slide into the holidays slowly. My 3 daughters are all arriving. One yesterday, one today, and
Nice.
the other one's been home from school for a week or so.
Yeah, I oftentimes find myself missing the month-long break I would get in college. You know, those were fun times. You know? 30 days to just kind of relax. No more.
Yeah, that first couple of years of working full time after having the summer breaks and the winter breaks are kind of like, what? This is what adulting is? I'm not so sure I like this.
This is how it's going to be for 40 years. That was quite the shock.
Hi, Peter.
Good afternoon. How we doing today?
Good.
Well, you sound cheerful like a guy who's ready to retire.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how many more last meetings are
Yeah.
you
Are you down
in?
to hours?
You got to be down to a few.
Yeah, I'm down to how many hours left now? 16 hours. Yep.
And he's only spending 30 minutes with us today, so you got to give him parting shots in the beginning of the meeting.
That's right. Otherwise, forget it.
Should we do it in a round robin style or just go for it?
Just throw your tomatoes now when you get a chance. Go ahead.
So Gunnar, you can just let me know when you think we have a critical mass and we can go ahead and I can go ahead and get started.
Tracy, I think we should be all set. I think we're waiting on Mary Pat, who will be joining
Okay.
in a few minutes.
Okay, well, good afternoon. I'm Tracy Walker from Journey Found and co-chair of the ARPA Advisory Committee meeting. Welcome. The ARPA Transformational Advisory Committee meetings are public meetings as defined by the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act and should follow those guidelines. As this public meeting is held virtually, it will be recorded and made available to view on the DDS website. Committee members must make a good faith effort to state their name and title, if applicable, each time they speak during the meeting. If a committee member would like to speak, please raise your hand and one of the co-chairs will acknowledge you. There is no public comment portion to this meeting. Members of the public are able to join, watch, and listen only. And with that being said, I look for an approval of the minutes of the November 21st, 2023 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved,
So
Kathleen
moved.
Stell for the Arc Eastern Connecticut.
So
Second, Michael Bello.
Michael had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, great. So then step approved and submitted plans update.
Gunnar Abrahamson, DDS. There hasn't been too much movement on this front since the last time that I checked in with this committee. We did have one additional day transformation plan out of the South region that was approved. There were 18 individuals that were identified as participating in that plan, participating in those transitions. So that brings the total number of individuals identified within the 16 approved transformation plans that are currently with the department from 97 up to 115, which brings that percentage towards our 200 individual target up to 58%. So we're enthusiastic about that. I know I had the opportunity at our bi-monthly provider meeting, which occurred last Thursday, to give an overview of some of the metrics around our STEP transformation initiative, looking at some of the numbers around the approved plans, the number of individuals transitioning, and some of those allocated dollars, incentive dollars. There was positive feedback there. We did receive a couple inquiries immediately following that meeting of new providers who are interested in submitting transformation plans. We actually have a meeting on the books this afternoon to meet with one of them. So a little bit of movement there in terms of additional interest in submitting plans. So that's
Gunnar,
all
I
I have.
believe we also have a couple of plans that have been submitted, and once those get in, what will the number be for at that point?
Yep. So we have 16 transformation plans that are currently approved. We have 3 pending approval. There's one out of the South region, and there are 2 pending approval out of the North region. So those are with the regional review committees. And once those plans are approved, it'll bring our total transformation plan number up to 19. Any questions, comments, feedback
Which
on
will
that?
bring about 171 for day.
Yep, 171 for day and 55 for res. So if you're looking at that 171 number, that's about 86% of that 200 day transitions target. If you're looking at the residential side of things, that's about 55% of that 100 individual transition target. If you want to look at the breakdown of the placement incentives for those individuals, so that $33,500 that's allocated for each individual that a provider transitions on the residential side, and that 15,000, is it 13.5, Keith? I apologize.
It's for the day?
For the day, yes.
Yeah, it's 15.
$15,000 for each day transition that a provider accomplishes. The placement incentive totals for those 16 approved plans is $5,046,000 for day, $4,380,000 for res. So we're expecting those numbers to climb, and as providers meet those objectives that they outline in their transformation plans, I think what you're going to see in 2024 is larger allotments of these dollars be paid out to providers as they meet those objectives. So we have $24,300,000 in reserve for step incentives that we're hoping to pay out through the end of the ARPA period. Questions, comments, feedback?
Well, I'll put the plug in as that if we're at 171, that means one medium-sized agency could tip that balance to 200, and which would be fantastic. It also means then we'll be a little bit more scrupulous in terms of reviewing those after that, because at that point you're going over the total. And so money could start getting tighter. And so we need to make sure people understand that.
That's a good point, Peter. This is Gunnar from DDS. You know, I think an important piece to this is ensuring that, you know, we want to spend as much of this reserve money as possible. We want providers to participate in the step transformation process. We want to see a vast majority of that 24 million paid out. But we're also cognizant of the fact that some of these transitions take time. And we want to reiterate that it's important to ensure that obviously the individual has that safety net and those resources available to them to make that transition successful in the long term. So again, in 2024, we're really hoping to see a lot of this play out. And I think what you'll see as committee members is those numbers really start to reflect that progress as we move towards the end of the ARPA period.
This is Tracy Walker of Journey Found again. Are there any other comments or questions for Gunnar or Peter about the plans, the number of plans, the number of people transitioned? All right, thank you. I know I saw that Lauren Gray is here. Lauren, are you ready to do the communication presentation?
Hello. Hello, my name is Lauren Gray from DDS. I'm a communications manager. Thanks for having me today. Just wanted to share a few updates and happy to take questions after. First, thank you so much for your support and your advisement this year as we launched the STEP initiative and launched the STEP website. Along with our social media channels and our STEP video series. So please continue to share those resources and point people to our STEP website. We did launch 4 videos as a part of the STEP video series. If you haven't seen those, they are on YouTube and they've been doing pretty well. We're continuing to share those. We launched 4 of them as a part of the video series, and we still have 3 more left to go. So we just finished finalizing the employment services video. So that video will be debuting in January. And the other 4 videos are individualized home supports, supportive housing, community companion homes, and self-direction. So again, if you haven't seen those, please give those a watch and share them. And we'll be debuting employment in January and filming assistive technology and remote supports in January and February. So, really excited about that. I'll put the link in the chat to the video. Any questions about the videos or the STEP website? Okay. No, there wasn't anybody, right?
No.
Okay. And another video that we're going to film next year is a second employment video that showcases a variety of different people with different levels of need, and how employment services helps all people at DDS support. So really looking forward to that and continuing our STEP video series. Also, next year in 2024, we are launching a new DDS website. I don't know how many of you have heard of this, but I am just going to preview it super quick. We're still editing this, so this is nothing final, but it will look like a lot of other agencies that have launched with the new template according to the new branding for the state of Connecticut. So this is what the Department of Labor's website looks like. So you'll see a lot of different agency websites starting to change. As you hopefully are familiar with, this is our current website. It is a little bit hard to find things. And the new DDS website. So we have a new navigation at the top where hopefully it's easier to find different services, supports, eligibility, news and updates, reporting abuse and neglect, information about STEP. So this is the homepage of our new website, and we're hoping to launch this January 15th and 16th. So we still have a little bit of work to do over the next month as we finalize the site, but we'll keep communications going and keep all of our stakeholders updated as the new site is launched. And of course, please continue to check us out on our social media channels. And we've really been trying to focus on growing our email list, especially because we aren't doing a lot of other mailings. So if you could continue to push out signing up for the DDS newsletter or text message updates, that would be really helpful to us trying to share important information and updates. And then last but not least, I don't know if somebody else is going to talk about this, but in January of this year, January 2023, we sent out an ARPA survey to I think like 2,000 people. So this year we're sending it out to a much larger audience, but it is a follow-up survey to the survey from this year. It'll be mailed out in January of 2024, and we're asking for feedback on the STEP initiative input and about DDS communications. So if you know people who are receiving this survey, we really, want to encourage responses, and that will help inform our direction for initiatives and programs next year. So that follow-up STEP survey will be going out in January 2024. It'll be mailed to individuals and families and their guardians, but you have the option to return it via mail or complete the survey online.
This is Tracy Walker with Journey Found. Again, thank you, Lauren. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Lauren? Okay, I don't see Betsy Bella on the call. Gunnar, is there someone from Deloitte here to make the presentation? Oh, Owen's there. Okay.
Hey everybody, Owen Shom, Deloitte. I'm here for Betsy today. We have a pretty quick update, but I will just share my screen briefly. We wanted to just talk briefly with this group about our approach for STEP technical assistance in 2024. I'm sure all of you know that we've been holding weekly office hours in addition to one-on-one strategic planning sessions as requested by providers. After we spoke to both the ARC and the Alliance, we've definitely had an uptick in providers requesting one-on-one TA support, but our attendance at office hours has not been what we hoped it would be on a week-to-week basis. So our plan going forward is to shift to kind of a more topic-focused presentation that occurs less frequently. So it won't be every week, it'll be every couple of weeks, depending on the focus and kind of what we hear from providers in our one-on-one TA in terms of what they'd be interested in. So what we have planned right now for January is the first two sessions will be what we shared with the ARC and the Alliance, which is this STEP provider plan summary document that we are just about ready to publish on the DDS website once we get approval from a few more folks. But that just provides an overview of all the approved plans and kind of some of the best practices and approaches that providers have used. We've gotten really good engagement and interest on that piece of it so far and have helped providers connect with other agencies that are doing similar kinds of work and maybe further along. And then looking ahead, we have slated a session that focuses on how to use STEP incentives and kind of how different agencies have gone about leveraging their funding, either to push forward agency priorities or to actually help with the transitions and the transformation itself. So I think something we would love from this group is if you have thoughts on any other sessions based on the conversations that you had or questions that you have. I know I see lots of familiar faces that I've spoken to in TA before. But anything that you can think of that would be worthwhile to devote one of these sessions to, feel free to share it now or to let Betsy and I know, and Gunnar and the rest of the team, and we can look to carve out time for that.
Okay, this is Tracy Walker with Journey Found again. Kathleen, you have a question?
Yes, Kathleen Stout for the ARC Eastern Connecticut. I'm not sure this is the appropriate forum, but the DDS program for existing developments, as opposed to the program for supported living and new developments, is not really workable because existing landlords do not want to sign the paper that DDS is requiring to sign. We just don't hear back from them because it doesn't make sense to sign a contract if you're a business when you're not really getting anything back in exchange for it. So there's just a cultural and professional reluctance to agree to anything like that. And I'm not really sure. We need a process for locating landlords, and we need a process for ensuring that landlords don't have to obligate themselves in ways that makes them uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this probably needs to go to the supportive housing group. I would probably, Kathleen, I'd probably send something to Elba, the housing director.
Yeah.
And I would CC Elisa on that as well. I haven't seen the agreements. I don't know what it is. But it's not like it was my thought that it's not like they're not getting anything. It was that if these apartments were going to be if they were going to be assigned to individuals with ID, then there should be some agreement that DDS is going to make sure that those apartments rents would be paid during that 5-year agreement. So there should be some kind of something in it for the landlord. So as I said, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen the agreement, but there is that guarantee that they would have that those rents would be paid whether anybody's in there or not.
I hear you. I'm just saying that we're having a hard time getting landlords to buy into it.
I get you. But I think that's it's the supportive housing work group that's doing this. So they would be the ones to present that to.
Okay, I'll send it through. Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, this is Tracy Walker, Journey Found again. Thank you, Kathleen. Are there any other questions for Owen? Comments? All right, I don't see any. So Gunnar, it looks like we're back to you with the update on the transformational initiatives.
So before we start, can I just jump in because I'm going to have to leave in a couple minutes, and I just want to thank everybody for their participation, their effort, their guidance and support. In terms of this initiative, I don't think we could have gotten as far as we did without all of you. So I just want to thank you for all you've done. Please continue to do that. it's amazing how everybody who's jumped in and has really worked hard on this. So I just want to thank everybody.
This is Tracy Walker. Thank you, Peter. It's been a pleasure working with you on your final hurrah.
Thanks.
So, all right, Gunnar.
Good afternoon, Gunnar Abrahamson, DDS. I think Peter's stepping off, but I'd also like to thank Peter. He's been an incredible mentor. I think I've said that in front of a few folks here, but he's a great guy, and I've learned a heck of a lot from him. So really going to miss him. Time really flew by. Feels like just a couple weeks ago I was saying he was going to be around for 4 months, and it's already coming up on the 21st. So I want to provide a quick update on some of the transformational initiatives that again fall under that ARPA umbrella. Before we get into it, I do want to say I reached out to the committee members, and we're really trying to take a look at what direction we can move in terms of committee focus in 2024. I think you guys are a valuable resource, especially to me as we move into the latter half of the ARPA period. I'm not the biggest fan of sitting here and providing update after update. I think there's a different way to do this. What that different approach is, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm mulling it over with some of my colleagues, and I would appreciate your input as well. I think there's a different way to get you this information without having you sit here and listen to me walk through this, 3 or 4 page document. I'm going to do it now. But hopefully this is kind of the last time we follow this approach. So continue to think about that as we move into 2024, different approaches to sharing this information. I really would like to focus on engaging you more and getting that critical feedback and that guidance. So I'll move through this quickly. I wanted to first start off with assistive technology. So the AT eval RFP. Barry, I know last time I brought this up, you said you hadn't heard anything from the department since your agency was notified that you are taking part in this. Has that changed? Have you received any communications?
I can say that I know that there has been some contact. I don't know that it is, as much as I would anticipate, considering, January is when you want to start moving. We did get startup, and I shouldn't say, we did get notice of startup, so that was really appreciated and helpful. But I don't think there's been a lot of contact on post startup, what exactly how this is going to work from a process standpoint and shockingly an ongoing rate perspective. Sure. I think that is still I'm not even sure that discussions have started yet.
So I am glad, Barry, that you heard something. I can take that back to the team. I know we're meeting with them Thursday, and that will be noted. That there needs to be stronger communication between the agency and those providers that are participating in this, particularly what the back end of this is going to look like once the contract is finalized. So through the AT eval RFP, and I've gone over this before, the RFP contractors are going to deliver a comprehensive service providing AT assessments, product purchasing, installation, and training at a set rate. The team developing the actual contract for the 3 providers is meeting on a regular basis and is expected to have a final draft for submission shortly. It'll go over to the Attorney General's office for their approval after that. So that anticipated start date, Barry, and for those on the call who are participating in this, as an FYI, is moved to February 1st of 2024. That's the new anticipated contract start date here. So we pushed that out a little bit. That exact date is still in discussion as certain steps need to be completed prior to the project being launched. I will ensure to do my due diligence to make sure that any sort of pertinent information that you guys need to be updated on gets to you. And if you're not receiving it, please reach out to me and I'll make that happen. The assistive technology course that there were 100 DDF staff that went through it. Want to take a quick pause here, Katie? You're muted.
Katie Banzap with Star Inclining the Way. We also are one of the providers selected for the AT Center. And when we did the proposal, we needed to be geared up and ready to start in August, and we were. So postponing it now till February, it's causing a burden. And there's been a lot more startup expense than I anticipated. So I guess my question is there still an opportunity to apply for some startup funds?
Katie, I don't have the answer to that question. I would advise, I don't know who your point of contact was with the department. If it was Patricia Sambala, I would reach out to Patricia. I know Sean Bannon in our operations center was also involved in that. So I would reach out to them and ask that question. I know this has been a frustrating process for those of you who are participating in this. We weren't anticipating it would drag out this long. I apologize. I don't have any additional information there, but I would reach out to the department and see if that's possible. And if I can help facilitate that in any way, please let me know.
Thank you.
So that assistive technology class, we sent 100 DDS staff. I was one of them. The focus there was to train and equip more staff within the agency to be able to deal with and understand assistive technology and assistive technology evaluations. That class concluded on December 8th. We are working with Patricia Sambala to get an understanding of how many folks receive certifications. Moving into notice of opportunities for AT grant funding. There are NOOs for individuals, families, and providers, all of which are underway. And since they became available in September, there have been 50 AT grant requests through the individual family NOO and 34 through the provider NOO. So those are active. If you have questions or you want to participate in those, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to Patricia Sambala. She can help facilitate getting you set up with those. Moving into some of our other updates here. AT&Me has trained 95 individuals to date, with several others in process. Candidates for AT&Me continue to be dependent upon referrals from case managers, and timely referral of those interested in participating needs further emphasis. So again, we're working on that communications aspect. That's really critical with the remote supports and assistive technology aspect or areas within our department. The use of the AT&Me products for those appropriate for the program can lead to further interest in assistive tech products that can improve individuals' lives and support greater independence. So the idea is just to expose them to the technology, get them used to it, get them thinking of, what works, what doesn't work, and what they would like to see incorporated into their living situations. I got two more here. So rewarding work. Rewarding work has seen considerable amount of progress. We hosted a webinar for DDS participants and case managers on December 7th, where participants learned about how to access rewarding work for free using a DDS access code, how to post jobs, how to search for potential employees, and how to use different features on the website. Postcards were sent to all DDS participants on how to register for the webinar. There were 158 folks who participated in that call. It was about half staff and half individuals and families, which, we're always excited about seeing that mix in there. Communications on the use and applicability of this tool continue to be disseminated through the DDS communications team. So Kevin Bronson, Lauren Gray have done an excellent job at pushing out these communications and getting the word out, on the applicability of this site and how it can benefit those that come and use it. The last update I have for all of you is on the National Core Indicator, or NCI survey. The NCI is a national survey tool that allows individuals supported by DDS to provide feedback about DDS supports and services. Tools used across the nation to gather information on improving and strengthening our systems and services. So DDS is on year 2 of the memorandum of MOA, I think that's Memorandum of Agreement with Yukon Health Center to administer our NCI surveys for DDS participants. Last year, the goal of 600 surveys completed was reached, with about 30% of surveys being conducted in person. A lot of the onus goes to you as providers for making that a big success. And we appreciate the ongoing assistance and flexibility there. So that's what I've got for ARPA updates. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of reading through that list. I really would like to find creative ways in which we can have more in-depth conversation on some of the variables involved here, some of the specifics related to these various initiatives under ARPA. I think that's more meaningful than just having you sit there and listen to report outs. So I'm going to continue to think about ideas. I'd appreciate if you could do the same, and please keep me posted with your thoughts on how we can make that happen. Tracy, I will turn it back over to you.
So, thank you, Tracy Walker, Journey Found. And to sort of segue, before we segue into the meeting cadence, to add to what Gunnar was saying, I had replied to Gunnar's email and suggested something of more strategic discussion focus group kind of role for all of us, if you will. That if, you know, in looking at a strategic area, one of the things, thoughts that came to mind were to look at and discuss some of the barriers that providers and families and individuals have been experiencing, and then, you know, have sessions to strategize on, you know, ways to rid the system of those barriers. But in my way of thinking, if we got into some kind of every other month kind of meeting sequence, 1 month could be the gathering of the information, getting it out to the group, the formulating of the thought-provoking statements or questions for people to consider, and then the following month, the meeting to have the actual strategy focus group, think tank kind of facilitation on that particular topic, so that there's actually productive information going back to the department, and that participants in the committee can feel like we're actually participating in something and not just listening to, you know, report outs in progress. Not that we wouldn't receive progress reports from time to time in writing or whatever, but that what was just one thought I had. Gunnar?
Thank you, Tracy. Gunnar Abrahamson, DDS. That's a really good point. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, I had asked for some of that input from all you as committee members as to, you know, some of the subject matter that you would like to focus on as we move into 2024. I got some interesting feedback. I think there's some really good, there's some good information in there that I think we can kind of focus on as we move into 2024 to help with that, to help have more meaningful conversations within the committee. So again, just continue to think about that. Shannon, I know you just joined. Welcome to the call. We just got done with our ARPA overview, and we're discussing kind of what the committee is going to look at in 2024 outside of listening to report outs from our team. Tracy, back to you.
Yeah, Tracy Walker, Journey Found. Any other ideas either on the cadence of the meetings, the purpose of the meetings? I know we began this discussion at our last meeting.
This is Gunnar Abrahamson from DDS. I guess one of the questions I have for the committee members, I know everyone is not here today, but are we comfortable moving ahead in 2024 with the month-to-month meetings? Is that how we want to keep this? Michael, Katie, are you?
Oh, this is Tracy Walker again. I see Shannon's hand.
Shannon.
This is Shannon Giacovino, DDS ombudsperson. I mean, I think unless this is already discussed, and I apologize for being late, one of the things that I think would be helpful is if we can figure out how to more actively engage providers on transformation. Specifically, like I'm thinking of where we notice that there are gaps in the system, and there might be providers who, have certain strengths or whatever. I don't know. I guess I just feel like I would like to be able to see us more actively engaging. I know there's a lot of activities that Deloitte has, and there's a lot of support, but I don't know, some sort of recruitment or engagement I think would be great.
This is Tracy Walker again. Thank you, Shannon. Katie? You're muted, Katie.
Oops, I'm sorry about that. Katie Banzat from Star. You asked Gunnar on my schedule for meetings opinion. I just want to let everyone know that I am going to be retiring at the end of January. So I will be also retiring or stepping down from this committee. So January will be my last meeting. So I don't care when you meet.
This is Tracy Walker again.
Wonderful to be able to say that.
Congratulations, and thank you for everything you've done, Katie. And I'm more than a little jealous.
I'm a lot. Thank you.
Tracy Walker again. Kathleen?
You will be missed, Katie, and I also am jealous. But to follow up on what Shannon said, I think getting started is usually the hardest part, you know. And I wonder if, you know, there has been some mentoring that we've benefited from, but if there could be like kind of mentorship partnerships, and the senior mentors maybe get compensated for bringing along and sharing policies, because there's a cost to creating that stuff. Mostly we're pretty generous with one another, but it may be helpful if especially smaller agencies, if they had an agency kind of take them under their wing and help train staff who maybe aren't. Innovation isn't something that every person is born with a sense of, you know? And so it could be really helpful for agencies that want to do it, but don't really know how to go about it.
Tracy Walker again. Thank you. Kathleen Gunner?
Kathleen and Shannon, those are really good points. And I will say that one of the, I don't know if all you are familiar with the Action Step Tracker, but in conjunction with our private providers, the individuals and families that receive services through our agency, we developed a number of action steps that we wanted to see progress and come into being as we move through the rest of the ARPA period. And one of those was to stand up a month-to-month meeting where providers who have navigated the obstacles around submitting transformation plans and successfully executing step transitions act as mentors to smaller providers or providers who are interested in submitting transformation plans, but maybe are facing, you know, critical staffing issues and the like, and really kind of help shepherd them along and be that guide for them through that process. Now, I know that's unique to STEP. That's not necessarily, Kathleen, what you're talking about, but this may serve as somewhat of a model for standing up a meeting of that sort. So that's certainly something we can take a look at. And I know that, you know, there have been plenty of internal conversations around creating some sort of meeting that focuses on that piece.
This Tracy Walker again. Other ideas, suggestions, comments? Gunnar, is your plan to put together some kind of summary of the feedback and input you've been receiving and get it out to the group, or how are we going to handle that?
So Tracy, this is Gunnar Abrahamson, DDS. I have gathered the feedback that we received from committee members as to what you guys would like to focus on moving into 2024, some of the changes in structural processes and flow to this meeting. I'm reviewing that now with DDS leadership, and I think in January I'll have a better idea of, you know, potential ideas to move this thing forward. You know, continue to think about creative ways that we can, you know, make this a little bit more engaging, make it a little bit more worthwhile. And make it more productive. You know, again, you are all real assets, especially to me as we move through the latter half of the ARPA period. So I will keep the group updated with thoughts on approach in 2024. One other thing I wanted to make mention of is we have a number of vacancies on this committee. We have a few providers that have retired or are stepping off. We have a couple family members. I know there was a person who worked for CTFSN that was on this committee that has since stepped off. I would like to focus on refilling those vacancies. I have a number of ideas, but what I'll do after this call before the end of the week is send you the vacancy areas that we have on this committee, and I would appreciate it if you could recommend colleagues, friends, that would be well suited to participate and engage and help advise the agency as we move forward with ARPA. Those recommendations will be compiled and passed up to the commissioner and DDS leadership for approval. But I think there's about 6 of them. So I'll get that information out to you, and I'd appreciate if you could take a look and make your recommendations.
This is Tracy Walker again. Thank you. Okay, so are we agreed then that we will meet at our usual time for January? And that a lot more of these details will be hammered out and discussed at that point in time. I see a lot of nods. So it looks like that's what the game plan is for that, which would mean, looking quickly at the calendar, so would that put January 16th? Would that be the next? Because we've been
It's
going.
Gunnar Abrahamson from DDS. Keith, do you have something to add in here?
Just for the committee members that the new meetings will be under Gunner, so there'll be a new meeting invite. I don't know if people use their old invites consistently or not, but this will have to be a new meeting invite, so.
Gunnar Abrahamson, DDS. Yeah, I will roll out a new cadence for 2024, so you all have access to that.
Okay, this is Tracy Walker again. All right, any other business questions, comments before we adjourn for 2023? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Barry?
Second.
Shannon, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Happy holidays and happy new year, everyone. See you
Happy
in
holidays and New
2024.
Year's. Sounds good.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.